Picture this, you are 60 years old. You open your superannuation app for the first time in years. The balance is zero. Not low, not disappointing. Zero. Maybe it was cashed out early during a hard stretch. Maybe it was eroded by years of casual work with no contributions. Maybe it was sitting in a lost account somewhere and quietly eaten by fees until there was nothing left to find. However it happened, you are 60 years old with no super, and retirement is 7 years away. This video is not hypothetical. For a growing number of Australians, this is the exact situation they are facing right now, and most of them had no idea how close the edge was until they were standing on it. Today we are going to look at what life actually looks like when you reach 60 with no superannuation, the real numbers, the real daily reality, and whether there is anything that can still be done. Let's start with the hard truth about what zero super at 60 actually means financially. At 60, you are 7 years from the current age, pension age of 67. You cannot access the age pension yet. And if your super balance is zero, you have no investment income either. That means for the next 7 years, your only income is whatever you earn from working. Now here is where it gets genuinely difficult. The average Australian at 60 earns less than they did at 45. Physical limitations, industry changes, and ageism in the workforce all push income down in the decade before retirement. Many people at 60 are working part-time by choice or necessity. Some have left the workforce entirely due to health conditions. If you are 60 with no super and reduced earning capacity, you are in a race between what you can save and what retirement is going to cost. And the numbers are not kind. ASFA says, a comfortable retirement for a single person requires approximately $595,000. A modest retirement, covering the basics, requires around $100,000 in savings alongside the age pension. From 60 to 67, you have 7 years. To accumulate $100,000 in 7 years from zero, you need to save roughly $14,300 per year, or around $275 per week, after tax and living expenses. For someone earning $55,000 a year after expenses, that is possible but tight. For someone on $40,000 or less, it is nearly impossible without significant lifestyle sacrifice. And comfortable retirement? At $595,000 required? From zero at 60 over 7 years? That requires saving $85,000 a year. For most working Australians, that number is simply not achievable. The maths is brutal, and it does not soften with wishful thinking. Now let's talk about what this actually looks like. Not in theory, but in daily life. A 67-year-old with no super and no savings receives the age pension. For a single person, that is approximately $31,200 per year. That is $600 a week before any housing costs. If they own their home outright, that $600 a week covers groceries, utilities, transport, insurance, and a little left over. It is not comfortable, but it is manageable. If they do not own their home, and a growing number of retirees don't, that $600 a week is the entire budget. Rent in a regional area might take $300 of it. In a capital city, it takes $450 or more. What remains covers everything else. That is the version where nothing goes wrong. Now add a medical bill, a car repair, a dental procedure that Medicare does not cover, a phone that breaks, a water heater that fails. There is no buffer. There is no savings account to draw from. Every unexpected expense is a crisis. The person at 60 with no super who reaches 67 on the age pension alone is not living. They are managing week to week, with every financial surprise representing a genuine threat to their stability. And the emotional weight of that, the daily low-grade anxiety of knowing you are one unexpected bill away from a problem you cannot solve, is something the financial numbers alone do not capture. Nobody plans to be 60 with no super, but the paths that lead here are remarkably common, and understanding them matters because most of them start with decisions that seemed reasonable at the time. The most common path is early withdrawal. Between 2020 and 2021, the Australian government allowed early super access during the COVID pandemic. Over 3 million Australians withdrew a combined $36 billion. Many of them were under 35. They took out $10,000 or $20,000 when they needed it most. And that decision, made in genuine desperation, cost them vastly more in compounding returns over the following decades. The second path is fragmented work history. Casual work, self-employment, periods of unemployment, time out of the workforce for caregiving. All of these create gaps in super contributions. Over decades, those gaps compound into a balance that is far lower than it should be. The third path is simply not looking. Super is invisible. It is automatic. It runs in the background. And for many Australians, particularly those without a strong financial education, out of sight genuinely became out of mind. They assumed it was fine. They assumed the compulsory contributions were enough, and they never checked until the number was too small to fix easily. None of these paths requires a catastrophic mistake. They require only ordinary human behavior in a system that punishes inattention. If you are reading this at 55 or 60, with a very low or zero super balance, this section is for you. The situation is serious, but it is not hopeless. And the window for action is narrower than it was at 40, but it is still open. Here is what actually moves the needle between 60 and 67. First, maximize concessional contributions. Anyone under 67 can contribute up to $30,000 per year into super as a concessional contribution, taxed at only 15% instead of the marginal rate. If you are working and earning, this is the single most tax-effective thing you can do with income at this stage of life. Every dollar into super between 60 and 67 grows in a tax-advantaged environment and comes out completely tax-free after 60. Second, check for lost super. The ATO estimates there is over $16 billion in lost and unclaimed super accounts in Australia. A significant amount of it belongs to people who simply never consolidated their accounts. Log into MyGov and check. Some people find thousands of dollars they had forgotten entirely. Third, downsize if you own property. The Downsizer Contribution Scheme allows Australians 55 and over to contribute up to $300,000 from the sale of a family home into super, outside the normal contribution caps. This is a powerful strategy for people who own property and are willing to move to something smaller. Fourth, defer the age pension. If you can keep working, every year you defer the age pension beyond 67 increases your eventual payment. Working until 70 instead of 67 while making super contributions can meaningfully change the financial picture at retirement. None of this erases the gap entirely. A zero balance at 60% will not become $595,000 by 67% through any realistic strategy, but it can become $80,000 or $100,000. And that is the difference between the age pension alone and the age pension plus a modest buffer that changes your options when something goes wrong. Here is the honest conclusion. Zero super at 60 is survivable. Millions of Australians are doing it right now. The age pension exists, and it provides a floor. A low floor, but a floor. What it does not provide is choice. It does not provide a buffer. It does not provide the ability to say yes to things that cost money. It does not provide the option to stop working when your body says enough. It provides survival. And for many people in retirement, that is both less and more than it sounds. The most important thing this video can do is reach the people who are 35, 40, or 45, who have not looked at their super balance in 3 years, who assume the contributions are fine, who plan to deal with it later. Later becomes 60% faster than any of us believe it will. If this video created any urgency around your super, whether you are at zero or just not paying enough attention, open the app today. Check the balance, check the investment option, check the fee, and make one decision that your 67-year-old self will be grateful for. That is all it takes to start. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more straight-talking Australian finance content. And share this with someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next one.